I've worn a lot of minimalist shoes over the past 12 years, but this new VIVOBAREFOOT Primus Lite Knit, well, it surprised me, and not in the way I expected. Hey, I'm Dr. Ryan, I'm a chiropractor, and here in Australia, my job is to help people move better, feel stronger, and live a pain-free life. And footwear is one of the first things that I look at when I assess my patients. So today, I'm going to be reviewing the Primus Lite Knit that I've been wearing every single day at work, at the gym, through my daily life, every day for the last 6 months. And we're looking at the science behind minimalist shoes and seeing if the research actually stacks up. So VIVOBAREFOOT have just recently released the Knit, probably the last couple of years. I've always previously had the standard Primus Lite shoe, and it's more of a synthetic construction, lots of harder surfaces, whereas the Knit is more of a fabric consistency all the way through. Still keeping with VIVOBAREFOOT's classic, wide toe box, flexible sole, minimalist surface, zero drop type of shoe. I did find the difference between just the standard Primus Lite and the Primus Lite Knit. The thing that surprised me the most was just how much more the Knit provides a more natural feeling under your foot. It's almost like wearing a sock with a sole. It completely supports the upper foot, around the edges. It's much more of a stable feel, with the benefit of still having that beautiful down-to-earth ground feeling touch that you get from a minimalist shoe such as this. So in terms of who they're for, I recommend barefoot shoes to anyone that's walking around all day long. Now, they're probably more suitable for someone that has a reasonably healthy foot to start with. Otherwise, I'd transition from a zero drop into these over time. But what they allow you to do is actually use the muscles of your foot the way they're designed. Use all the joints and bones in your foot the way they're designed. And what the research has found, which I'll tag below, is that you get a 57% increase in foot strength just by wearing these over the course of 6 months. I remember when I first started wearing minimalist shoes many years ago, I really recognized this. I was wearing a pair of gobies to work. These VIVOBAREFOOT gobies are just a nice leather shoe, easy to wear, and I was wearing them every single day. And for the first couple of weeks, I was actually getting quite sore in my feet. And it wasn't because of anything bad, it was just simply because those muscles were starting to work the way they hadn't worked for many years and starting to build a strong arch in my foot. So let's look at the good and the bad of why you might select a Primus Lite Knit from VIVOBAREFOOT. So first of all, the good part, it has a great feel to it. Beautiful sort of response through the sole. As I said, it wraps your foot up like a nice tight sock. And the feel for these, I think, is probably my most favorite pair of VIVOBAREFOOTs yet. Most comfortable, most practical. They look good. You can wear them at the gym. You can wear them I actually wear these at work, and you can wear them leisurely as well. They have a great breathability, so you're not going to get sweaty in these. They're good for if you're going walking. They're good for being at the gym, and they keep your feet cool. And I give this great style points. I think it's a fantastic looking shoe. Really like the design. You can get them in all sorts of colors as well. My wife, I got her a purpley mauve colored shoe with a white sole. Beautifully feminine, looks really nice, really stylish. I think some of the drawbacks and considerations, because of the pro of them being so breathable, not a wet weather shoe. The water will soak through these, particularly if you're going through puddles or heavy rain. It goes all right in cold weather, I've found. Like it's getting below zero here where we are in Australia at the moment in winter. You're not getting cold in them, but I'd hate to get wet feet in these. I think the trail may be a better style of shoe with the more covered upper, if that was what you're looking at doing, like a lot of hiking or wet weather walking. I touched on this earlier. One of the drawbacks with a barefoot shoe, and this isn't just the Primus Lite Knit, it could be any of the VIVOBAREFOOT range and any minimalist shoe really, is the transitioning from your normal shoe into these. I did do a fair bit of running in these, and I think I did that prematurely. And what I found was I started to develop quite a lot of foot pain, and it was just almost like lifting too many weights too quickly. It was just an overload on a structure that wasn't able to do that. If you're looking at running, these may not be the best ones. You can get away with it, don't get me wrong, but I've just found that beyond 5 kilometers, you really want a running shoe. And if you like the zero drop style, I've got a pair of Ultras, which are great. They've got just a little bit more cushion to allow you to continue those longer runs, particularly if you're on a hard surface like concrete. Now I'm 6 months into wearing these. So far, the shoe's holding up really well. I can't see any blemish or damage. Obviously the sole might get a little bit dirty, but that's standard wear. As you can see from the sole of the shoe, it's holding up pretty well for daily wear for 6 months, I think. And as long as you keep them dry, you look after them. I've found, like, this pair's pretty trash now, but these are 7 or 8 years old. So they do go pretty well. Now, people always talk about the price point for these. It is a big consideration because these are, in Australia, upwards of $200 a pair of shoe. Now, it's in line with a lot of what, premium shoes cost, but I do see value in them. These last me a really long time. I'm really happy with the construction. I'm happy with the quality. So I'm willing to pay that sort of premium price for them. That being said, I've got a discount code below if you're in Australia, which saves you 10% on these shoes. So I mentioned before I'd address the science behind these shoes. And not just the Primus Lite, but minimalist shoes in general do change the way your foot works towards a more natural way. And as a chiropractor, I'm really passionate about natural health and looking at how we can help the body operate on its own in the best way and supporting that natural function in the way that we're designed. So there was a study done in 2021. So it is in a peer-reviewed journal in Scientific Reports, part of Nature's portfolio. And Curtis et al. Looked at the daily activity in shoes like this, minimal footwear, and if they had an increase in strength. Really cool thing was that over the course of 6 months, wearing shoes like this daily increased your foot strength by 57%. And the carry-on of this was it can potentially improve the way you walk, your gait, and aid in healthy balance. And that's particularly because your foot contains a lot of nerve endings in there that connect to little muscles and joints, which tell your brain exactly where those joints are. And if they're not getting exercise, they start to get a little bit weak and deconditioned. As you start to wake them up, your brain can better sense where your body is, improving your balance. And I can imagine that translates into things like reduced injuries and reduced falls. So one of the things I love my patients wearing are minimalist shoes, because we are getting back to the way that we were designed, not being cushioned and stacked up on platforms that we can't feel our way around the world. If you're thinking of switching from standard shoes into something minimalist like these Primus Lite Knits, my hot tip is just start slow, build it up. And if you've never worn minimalist shoes before, you might just say, get home, pop these on, walk around the house for a couple of hours in them, and slowly build up your capacity to deal with that as the strength in your foot increases. And eventually, like myself, this is all I wear. Every day, day in, day out. I didn't go to work today, I went to the gym, and I'm going off for a camp on the weekend. I'll take these with me. And they serve me really well. So if you've liked this video, please hit subscribe, because there's plenty more of this stuff coming out and you'll be up to date with exactly what's happening. And as I said, if you'd like to get a pair of them, I popped a discount code below for you to save 10%.